Dr. Samah Jabr, a leading Palestinian psychiatrist, psychotherapist, a writer, and a public intellectual. She is the former chair of the mental health unit at the Palestinian Ministry of Health, and for over 2 decades has explored the psychological dimensions of life under occupation. Doctor, really, thank you so much for coming into the studio. Before we hear your professional analysis and experience, what has it been like for you as a Palestinian, as a human being, to see, because you are not currently based in Gaza, you're in the occupied West Bank, or occupied East Jerusalem, I believe.
East Jerusalem.
So you've been watching from a slight distance. But how do you manage to balance the pain and the distress with the practical elements of your job?
Well, we are living under a very challenging reality. We feel the difficult emotions and the distress in relation to what's happening, but we also feel the responsibility. And that sense of responsibility, it keeps us going. So we continue to help people. We support our colleagues in Gaza, but also in the West Bank and Jerusalem, it's very challenging, and there is a lot that needs to be done in order to help the Palestinian people survive this very, very difficult chapter in their confrontation with the occupation.
You know all of the territories, you know all of the people, wherever they are. Even though you haven't been able to yourself go to Gaza, what are your colleagues telling you about the state of mental health and their ability to assist?
Well, they don't have to tell me. I train
Yes.
colleagues in Gaza, and it is surprising that when I just finished a training for the World Health Organization. I was training doctors, family doctors in Gaza. They are very motivated for the work that they are doing. They present cases, they ask challenging questions, they express a great interest in learning new material that will help them help their staff. That's the sense of responsibility that I'm talking about. Yes, there is trauma, but Palestinians have their own language, ontological language, in which they describe their predicament. They talk about ibtila. This is like a trial. With trial, there is a sense of responsibility. This is a trial that is brought by human injustice being inflicted on them. And that generates a feeling of responsibility and agency. It doesn't deny the distress, it doesn't deny the harm and damage that is being done to them. But I think as far as the challenging situation continues, they put more efforts in responding to this challenge rather than dwelling on the distress and disengaging from responsibility.
I know you have a kind of overall analysis of PTSD amongst Palestinians, and I'll come to that in a moment. But what you've just said is absolutely fascinating, because presumably only an adult can intellectualize that kind of responsibility and duty they have to themselves and to others. For children, it must be much more difficult.
Children absorb the reaction of their parents to a great extent. And children were forced to grow very fast in Gaza. And much of their reactions are supported by their parents or the adults around them. So it's difficult because there is developmental trauma in Palestine. Children are deprived of adequate food, of protein, a vast majority of them have anemia. So, of course, this has physiological impact on them. But yet, they try to have an opinion about their situation. They get some comfort by sitting with other children and chanting national songs, by listening to stories being told by a volunteer, a teacher, an adult who's trying to return some childhood experience to them.
Yes, this idea of PTSD, which presumably every single citizen of Gaza is experiencing right now, you don't believe it's particular to this moment in Palestine's history, but something that comes from a long time before.
PTSD assumes that there is a clear incidence with a clear beginning and a clear end, and that trauma is in the past, and now there is safety and there is a hopeful future. And this is never the case of Palestinians living under bombardment in Gaza. So it best captures the experience of American soldier who serves in Iraq,
Yes.
and then he goes back to the safety of his home. Palestinian experience can best be described by the notion of colonial trauma, which is continuous and cross-generational and deliberate. It is made with the intention, and that intention is to impose helplessness on the people, and people refuse to be helpless. That's why they express their agency and responsibility in amazing ways.
We've run out of time. Outside the studio, we were talking also about the sense of abandonment that the people of Gaza must feel. Another mental blow that the world is watching on their TV, seeing women and children being killed, and yet the world is doing nothing. Unfortunately, my producer is telling me we've run out of time. Samah Jabr, doctor, thank you so much indeed.
Pleasure, thank you for having me.
Thank you.